Here we go. Here we go. How is everyone? Hey, Penny. Hey, Colleen. It's been a little while since I've done this by myself. Hey, Damiano. Long time no see. I saw you last week. Good to see you back. All right. When I'm looking here is at the chat. So I'm looking at the chat. Hey, Jeff. Hey, Colleen. I'm excited. This has been a little bit since I've done this by myself, but it's a little meta, right? Because I'm going to be showing you all how I do my own stream. Hey, let us know. Yingye, hopefully I'm saying that right. Hey, everyone. Yeah, I'm super stoked about this. I have been kind of working on, how to manage the stream for a year now. This is number 36. So this is like a tried and true process, and I'm excited to show you all how to do this. So in today's stream, I'm going to be showing you how I automate all the things. Hi, Diane. Excited. Awesome. So many new faces. It's so exciting. I'm going to be showing you how to shortcut the year I spent trying to build the system, and we're going to build it from scratch. So I'm going to show you kind of how to set up your base structure, how to manage your kind of content out of Airtable. The example I'm going to be syncing to is YouTube. And then I'm going to show you how you can actually edit from Airtable using Shotstack API with Jeff, who's here, who's going to be helping me if I make mistakes. And then, a lot of folks on Twitter kind of snuck in some requests. So I wanted to make sure that they're reflected. So 3 options today, and we'll see what time we have. But we're going to start off with like a quick vote. So option number 1, we're going to talk about thumbnail management. And actually this is just asset creation writ large, right? So let's say creating a thumbnail for YouTube, creating a banner. That's always the same with the title. So that's vote A. Vote B would be scheduling. So if you go to AATT.io/calendar, there's a little calendar view. I create bit.ly links for every single stream. And I also create a bit.ly for the whole stream. So someone asked about that. So it's going to be vote B. And vote C is how to create kind of social, scheduling social tweets about, upcoming content when it hits when it's uploaded, whenever you want to tweet or post on social. So let me know in the chat if you prefer A, thumbnail management, B, scheduling, C, social. And that'll be kind of step 4, right? So that'll be the icing on the cake when we've kind of figured out the whole process. A, thumbnail management, B, scheduling, C, social. Let me know. All right, Colleen with A. We've got C for social, 2 for thumbnail. I'll let the chat go, right? So throughout, if you change your mind or want to vote again, we've got B as well. Let's kick it off and then keep it going in the chat. And I will, once we get there, I'll kind of cast the votes. We got 3 votes for A. So thumbnail management seems pretty popular. Okay, cool. So let me put that as the early leader, and then if we update anything, cool. Okay, I'm really excited about this. I'm actually really excited to show you all how, we've built this. So essentially, our goal here is to have this base, which is nothing right now, be everything, right? So what I mean by this is like we upload our content here, we send it to YouTube, we send it to Webflow, we schedule our tweets, we do our edits. It's kind of like a command center. Right. And to give you an idea of what this looks like after you've have had 36 streams, this is what it looks like, right? This is my own command center. So I've got like views for every single show that I'm adding, like a 6-part checklist. I've got my calendar view, which is reflected on my website. I clip directly from Airtable. So I have all these buttons that say create clip. It creates the clip. I have, social media that's now built in thanks to Steven, which is right here, sent to social media. So it actually drafts all of my tweets. And then I have this button that just says, schedule that social for that episode. This is literally everything for the whole stream. So I've also sent to Webflow, sent to YouTube. I import my YouTube analytics. I do all that good stuff from Airtable, right? But that's a year's out. We're going to start much simpler. And let's kind of start building out our base. Okay, so we're starting from scratch, and we're going to put ourselves like in my shoes. I'm creating YouTube videos. That's really the first place where I'm sending my information. So I'm just going to call my first table videos, right? And then when I think about it, like what are the fields? Well, the fields should map to everything that's needed for a YouTube video. So let's go into kind of my channel. Let's go see some content. And this is what kind of the back end of YouTube looks like. So you can imagine every single piece, every single option here is something that should live in my my table, right? So breaking this down, I have automate all the title, right? So this is like the title of what we're covering today. For instance, today is like manage and edit your content in Airtable. Then I have with, and then I have a guest, right? So this is the person who's coming onto the stream. That might be your case, it might not, but the logic will be the same. And then I have this kind of like what stream are we at, right? So you can almost see like there's three pieces to the title itself, and we're going to kind of break this out. Then I have a description, and I've got a thumbnail. So actually how I got to that very complex base is like building each piece one by one. So think of your content, where does it go, and then back out from there for the different fields in your base. So let's kind of just create this title. So automate from your phone with using Siri shortcuts. That's going to be kind of our title for that stream. I usually do this before naturally, right? So let's give that to the name. Just going to copy paste here. All right, let's delete these. You know, Victoria said it'd be great to have like a shortcut to delete this. I kind of agree with her. It'd be great. Okay, then I have a stream number, right? Actually, let me do this in, whoa. Let me move this here. Okay. Okay, then I have a guest, right? And guests are like different elements, right? So a guest could come to multiple streams. I want their title. I want their Twitter handle. I want all this information about guests. So whenever you have saying like, oh, I need different information that's related, that's saying you need a different table. So I'm going to go ahead and add a guest table. And my first guest, first but not the least. No, I guess it doesn't make sense. It's last but not the least. But also my last, because I only have one guest here, and I don't want to mess up Matthew's last name, so I'm just going to copy paste here. There we go. And delete, delete, delete. Right? And I'm just going to say Matthew, you know, is like what show are they on? What video are they on? So I'm bad at naming fields. This might be video or content, but we kind of get the point. Videos, I'm linking to that one, and I'm saying, okay, well, Matthew is going to be on that first one, and now I have Matthew here. If I'm like breaking down the structure of the title, I have a number, right? So stream number. This could be a number field. I can already hear people saying like, why don't you auto number? It's a little complicated. It's actually easier just to use a number, because if you delete a row, it'll mess up your auto number. Niche information on the stream today. You can see I've done this quite a few times. All right, 36. No, we're at 35. That was 35. And let me just call this one like today's stream as an example. And the guest is going to be no guest, right? And then this one's 36. And so now I have everything to create this YouTube title, right? So I'm going to call this YouTube title. And it's going to be a formula field because I'm concatenating existing information, right? So I'm saying, okay, take the name. And then, so that's going to be this right here. So automate from your phone. And if there's a guest, so and if there's a guest, go ahead and add with and that guest name, or else put nothing. And then add, you know, AATT. And then add the number, stream number. So this all went well. This should work. I have very little confidence. There we go. Okay, cool. Right, so I have automate from your phone using Siri shortcuts. So I've got the title recreated. What's cool about this is like I can kind of add information that I know, and the YouTube information automatically is created. Let me know if am I lagging a little bit? I'm seeing some notes from Twitch that I might be lagging a little bit. Let me know in the chat if that's the case. Or if I'm going too quickly or too slowly, let me know. All right, we're just trying to kind of structure our base really quickly. All right, I'm lagging a bit. Let me see what I can do there. Can't do anything about that. Okay, I'll have to live with that for a little bit. I apologize. I asked you, and then I couldn't really give you a solve, which is unfortunate. You know, now I just know that it's slow, but it's okay. It's okay. Cool. Okay, continuing down here, we've got our description, right? So actually how I do this, I always have kind of like the same top description. So let me just copy paste this. And then let's give some rich text, right? And then I include those little, these are chapters in YouTube, right? You could automate this where like you have a couple fields that you always put in the description. I like to keep it manual. In today's stream, let's say I'm going to copy paste this part just so I can have an example. This is where we're going to be sending to you. This is an example. Great. Let me delete this one. Okay, so it's really coming along here, right? Then thumbnail is one. We'll do that at the end if we get enough votes, right? And then kind of the rest is things that are defaulted, right? So this is all I need for YouTube, right? So let's imagine today's stream. I need the file, right? That makes sense. I need the actual kind of file. So let's go video. It's going to be an attachment field. And I don't know if FinSuite is Rohan or Joe. For today's example, I'm actually going to use, let me see here. I'm going to use desktop stream assets. I'm going to use the stream we did together, which I did not download. Let me go pick that up. Google Drive. Streams. Actually, let me just go into, let me download it and then I'll add it back in. It's over here. This is the good thing about being organized. Let me find Joe. Here we go. I'm going to download that. Okay, let's give it a few seconds, and then I'm going to upload that as our example. So let me know if this makes sense. So right now we're just structuring our base very easily. You can imagine that, I do the stream. I actually just download the stream. I upload it into this video, and then I send it to YouTube. So really that's kind of that first step. How do we structure our base? Okay, I had to download it. So let's put this right here. It's going to take a few minutes to upload, especially while I'm streaming. So let me know in the chat if this makes sense. We're just trying to structure our base so that it matches the kind of structure of where we're sending it. And this is whatever CMS you're sending to, whether it's Webflow, Vimeo, or anything else, or even like you're thinking of the tweet you want to send. I like to work from what do I want the tweet to look like, and I work back to figure out what fields I need, right? So as this is uploading, let's now say like, okay, we have all of this information in our base. Let's go ahead and create a way for us to upload to YouTube directly from here, right? So if I go into our checklist, like this simple, our base structure is done, right? So this is ready to go. I can add a little check mark here. Just for our purposes, base structure is done. Now what we want to do is like, how do we send this information to YouTube? Now, everyone who comes to the stream, I hope knows what the answer is. So let me know what we're going to use. We're going to use, my favorite, a button field that sends the information to Zapier, right? So it's going to take this information from our record, send it to Zapier, which has a direct connection to YouTube, which will take that information and upload that video. Right, so I'm going to use a button field. And for now, just as a placeholder, I'm going to make it open google.com. Did not like that. There we go. I want to save that. There we go. Okay. So this is just for now opening google.com. What it will do in a moment is actually trigger a webhook that will send the record ID to, and then from there, send all the information to YouTube. So we're going to go over to Zapier. And you're going to see my superbly disorganized Zap folder. It's like really embarrassing because I have, 20 or 30 name your Zap, some that are even on and that I probably use all the time. Extremely embarrassing. But we're just going to keep adding to it, I guess. Okay. Okay. So what we want to do is have a webhook. So it's code, I think. Yeah, my Wi-Fi is really struggling today. Let's go webhook. There we go. We want to catch a hook, right? So, as a reminder, what a webhook is essentially saying we want to pass information from a URL into Zapier. So Zapier just kind of waits for something to go to this URL. Let's do a little test. Let's say right here, we're going to say test equals 123, right? So Zapier is just waiting, and then everything past here, it will interpret as variables. So there we go. It's received. So now if I continue here and I test the trigger, it has that test equal 1234. What we're going to use this for instead of just test is actually pass the record ID, right? So if we pass the record ID, we can then find the record in Airtable and have all of that information, which gives us access in Zapier to all of the actions, right? So I feel like there's two types of people on the stream today. Folks who have heard me say that at least 50 times and folks who maybe it's their first stream. So I'm a big fan of webhooks because they create this button that you can trigger that actually says like, okay, I don't want to mistakenly send anything to YouTube, but this button makes it so that it's an action that I have to do. And with Zapier opens up every single action that's available in Zapier. So huge fan of that. Okay, so let's set this up. So we're saying, okay, go to this webhook. And in that webhook, add as a parameter record ID equal to, and then just go and get the record ID. Right, so I'm going to rename this. I'm going to name this send to YouTube. Let's give this like a red, like a bright red. Open URL is going to call it send to YouTube. Right, you could actually add some logic directly in here. So let's say to be able to send the video, you actually want something to be in that video attachment. This is something I talked about on the newsletter last week. So I can say if attachment, which is called video, if that is true, means something's in there, go ahead and add this. If not, make it empty. So I'm just adding some validation to make sure, right? And you can see that I can't send to YouTube because there's no video. So you can even add multiple checks, right? So you can say if, ABC, so if video and YouTube title and all this information. So adding that little validation in there to make sure that you're not triggering a send to YouTube that's going to fail. So nice little nifty trick there. Okay, so I'm going to add record ID as a field to make it easier to search. Record ID. This will kind of become clear why I did that in just a moment. Okay, now I'm also showing the record ID. Let's hide that. There we go. Cool. Okay, so now if I open this opens a URL, send to YouTube, and then I have as a parameter in that URL the record ID of the video I want to send to YouTube, right? Okay, so going here, I think, yeah, it's this one right here. Let's go and get another one. So load more. We just got that request. We have the record ID right here. Continue. And now what we want to do is simply send it to YouTube. Very simple. Actually, no. First, we need to get the additional information from Airtable, right? So I don't want just the record ID. I need in Zapier, I need the title and I need the video. So we want to find a record. All right. My Airtable account used in 40 zaps. There we go. The base is called AATT number 36, content management. And if you can get the base if you type in !base, you should get it at the end. That way you have all of the structure in there. So I want the videos table, and I want to search on the record ID field. So this is why we created that record ID field, because you need to specify what you're searching by. Search value is going to be that hook from step 1. All right, continue. Let's test this out. All right, let's see what it found. Okay, so it found today's stream, right? That's what we wanted it to find. That's where the record on which we triggered. So far, makes sense. And then we could send to YouTube, right? So I'm gonna send to my YouTube account. Okay, and then we see here, like you could actually start here when you're thinking about like what should be in my base. It's extremely similar. We're saying, okay, what is the title? We have a YouTube title, today's stream. Description, hopefully I called that description. I don't trust myself that I did call it description, nice. Okay, video, here what's important to know is you have to pass in a URL, right? So if you go into find record in Airtable, there should be, it's called video URL. So this is going to go into Airtable where that video is hosted, send that information over to YouTube. Privacy status, we're going to make it private. And then you can, if you are, I think this is not an option for all YouTube. So we're not going to notify subscribers, not yet. Okay. All right, I'm going to skip the test because I want to run it all in one go. And then the last step we want to do is update the record from step 2 to say that it's been sent, right? We don't have a single select just yet. So status, probably something like, scheduled, recorded on YouTube. I'm really bad at naming single selects. Okay. Let's put both of these as recorded. All right, I'm actually gonna have to run that one more time because that field was not in there. So let's rerun this. Retest and continue. Interesting, nothing could be, oh, it's because I haven't run this, okay. Continue. All right, continue here. Record ID, that looks good. That's weird. Okay, let's see what we can do here anyway. Oh, it's because, what is he using rec1234? That's interesting. Oh, because it's not the right base. Oh, I'm not looking at the right, not looking at the right zap. I apologize. This is what happens when you're so focused on your stream. All right. We want to update. So wait, let me run that again. So I want to test, retest and review. There we go. So that worked. We should have a status, which is recorded right there. And then what we want to do is update a record. We're going to update the Airtable. Okay, we're going to go to AATT number 36. Videos, go to the record. I want to add a custom value from step 1. Right, so we're saying go to the record with this record ID, right? So because we're updating, in Zapier, you need to do 2 steps to usually find a record. You first need to find it and then update with the record ID that you took in the previous step. In this case, we already have the record ID. So we can instantly update. And we want to update the status to on YouTube. Let me just make sure I did that on YouTube. Great, perfect. Let me make sure I'm going to the right Zap. There we go. Continue. This one I can test just to make sure it works. So we should have on YouTube. There we go. That worked. Awesome. Let's go to recorded. So we're like, our Zap is ready. Let me just walk through what just happened. We're saying trigger a webhook, get the record ID, find the record, get the rest of the fields, put those fields into YouTube, update the record once it's on YouTube to say that it's on YouTube. How are we feeling? Are we feeling that this is going to work? Not going to work? I'm like 65%. I feel like I did that a little quickly. And I did it quickly because I know that the next part's a little harder around clipping. So let me know your confidence level in the chat. I'm like a good 65. I gotta say, I'm a little worried that it's not gonna run, but let's turn it on. Looks good. Appreciate that. It's gonna work. Okay, let's try this out. Okay, so theoretically, we should create a video called Today's Stream, AATT number 36. Let's send to YouTube. That worked. So it should run. And it takes a moment to run. So this is just where we get a little stress. Okay, so it updated to the status, so we know that it worked, right? And let's see Zap history. Appropriately named, name your Zap, right? So it seemed like it worked. Okay, so let's go to video details on YouTube. So if I go to here, content. So it's not here yet. And that's probably just because it takes time, right? Let me refresh this. There we go. Whew. I gotta say, I was a little worried there. I will name my Zap. Thank you, Colleen, for the reminder. Cool. So we've got the title. We've got, the description. The thumbnail we'll do a little later. It's processing the video. And, things you could send back, right? So one interesting thing that we didn't do was that when you run this, right, it sends back it usually sends back, I think, the URL, right? So if we look at task history, data out, it'll send back a play URL. So what this means is that you can actually send back the URL from YouTube directly to Airtable. Yeah, I'm happy it worked. I was a little worried about that one as well. So appreciate that. So you can actually, send back the URL, and that way you could have the URL directly. So yeah, YouTube Studio isn't always the best. And it's just a manual, like a lot of dragging and dropping, which is a pain. So I really like this setup where I just do it from Airtable as a webhook. So I will send through the Zap. So on the replay, I'll actually share the Zap if you want to recreate this thing exactly. But yeah, I think with that, we've kind of done what I would consider the easy part of the stream, right? And I think the fun begins now. So this is where we get a little more technical, a little more geeky. So we now have a base structure. We're now sending to YouTube. But something I've been kind of experimenting with is I hate video editors. I hate editing videos. I hate everything about them. And so I think about 2-3 months ago, I kind of set off and say, hey, could I just have an API that does it for me? What I mean by that is enter like, hey, I want to create a clip that starts at 70 seconds of this larger video that ends at 200 seconds, right? And gives me that 130 seconds between, and then inserts kind of maybe an intro and an outro, right? And the reason I wanted to do this is because I wanted to have something that I can share on social. So let's say, this stream is super fun, and I think most of the time people want to see me kind of make a mistake, right? That's what people come here for. And so when I do that, I wanted to kind of clip the stream and automatically. So say, okay, I did this thing between X and Y, send that over to this API that will edit it for me. So luckily I found that API. It's called Shotstack API. And essentially what Shotstack does, let me go on their website. We're lucky enough to have the co-founder, Jeff, in the chat today. So welcome, Jeff. Thank you for helping me figure out your API. So they let you build, usually I guess it's a web developer, it's a developer tool to embed, edit on the videos on the fly for high volume. I use it on a much lower scale just to say, hey, I've got this hour stream and I'd like to take a minute or 2 minutes out of it and kind of put that all together without writing code or much code. I use Zapier to do it. So let's imagine that I want to clip this stream, right? So I'm going to open this up just to give you what this looks like. So this is the stream I did with Joe, right? So you see Joe, you've got the stream. We had a bunch of fun, right? And we could see we were talking about webhooks. I always talk about webhooks. And let's say, the moment I talk about webhooks, which is at 23 minutes and 18 seconds, would be a cool clip. And I want it to go till 25, right? So I want, that's like the clip that I want. What I would usually have to do is like open a video editor and then have to find the time, export it, bring it back into Airtable, send the video to YouTube. It was a huge pain in the butt. So let's automate that whole thing where we're just doing that via Shotstack, right? So a few things I mentioned there, right? I said a start time. I said an end time. I need to know which clip which kind of stream we're going to clip. So those are kind of guesses or not indications that we're going to create a new table with all that information. But first, let's just kind of look at the Shotstack API. So I keep saying so. I always say like, hey, I don't know. Okay. So there we go again. How the Shotstack API works is that you essentially provided a timeline. And a timeline has elements in it that tell it what you want to show. So in this case, it's saying, okay, show us this audio, and in that soundtrack include tracks, which is the video that you want that's composed of clips. Now, Jeff, I'm probably not explaining this in the best way. I'm explaining it in the sense of how I understood it. So it's saying, okay, the first clip is a video that I want to play, for 2 seconds. That starts at 2, goes for 5 seconds. And then there's all this other information I'm including and then output. How I use it is that I say, okay, put this intro, take this stream, cut it from this start point to this end point, and then package that and send it back to me as a clip and then input it into Airtable. Right? But what you could do is maybe you have like 5 clips that you want to put together, or maybe, you want to do a higher scale things. Shotstack API lets you do it. But what we're going to do is I have an intro, right? So like 2 seconds of the same clip all the time, a dynamic insert from the stream, and that's it. So those are the 2 parts that we're going to include. Let me know if that makes sense. So we're going to create something at the end. Let me show you. I've got this up and running here. If I go into clips and I go into this one right here, it's going to look like this, right? So we're calling this clip, what it takes to master Airtable. It's about 32 seconds long, and it starts with a quick intro, right? So that's like the intro you see when my stream is buffering or waiting. And then jumps into the clip exactly where we want it to start, right? So if Joe's in the chat, you are now like a meta part of the stream, which is fun. And so that's what we want to do. We want to create a button, click a button, and it creates this clip for us. So, I was like super, super excited about this. Like, this is probably one of the funnest I've had playing out of Airtable, because it shows you just like what's possible, right? So any API becomes accessible, and like APIs are just you can do everything now. And so really there's kind of no limit to what you can do. And then what I hope is that people, after I show this, like you use it in a different way and build something, much cooler or much more complex or much more simple. That's fine. Cool. So let's start building out what we need to kind of query this API. Okay, so I'm going to keep this kind of here, and I'm going to reference it to really understand what it is that we're going to do. Okay, so we're going to create a clips table, which is going to be those clips we create based off of a full stream. So as always, I'm going to delete the kind of basic fields here. Okay, so let's name the clip. Let's say awesome moment, where a webhook failed. Okay, that's what we're calling it. And then we need to know which stream is it from. So we're going to link to the right stream. So we're saying which video is it from. I'm calling this video. And then I'm going to link to another record. I'm going to link to videos. And let's associate today's stream, right? I'm deleting these records. Let's make this a little larger. Okay, and let's kind of look at the API. Right, so I'm going to need a start and a length. So this is saying start at this. So let's look at what start looks like. Let me see. It should have body, Shotstack v1, and then endpoints, render video. Let me go into, here we go. Start, there should be a start. Timeline, which has a clip. Let me just search for it. Start. Oh, I'm getting all the... There we go. Okay, number, true, none, the start position of the clip on the timeline in seconds. Okay, so we need something that turns a duration into seconds. Let's try to figure this out. So we're going to say a start time, and I'm going to input this as a duration. Right, so I'm going to have kind of hour minutes. I think that's how I had it here. Let me check that. Yeah, here we go. Right, hour, minutes, seconds. That makes more sense. There we go. Okay, so let's say we take, what was it, 22 minutes? I think that's where I wanted it. Yeah, let's say 20. What's great about this is I can actually watch the stream in Airtable. Okay, 22:06. That's what I want. So let me open up that linked record. And I'm saying this starts at 22:26. Let's create a new field that is end time. Same thing, it's going to be a duration field. That goes like this, boom. Create that field. And this is going to be, let's say, 23:50, right? So now what it says in the API, and I appreciate Jeff kind of correcting me as I'm so how this assumes, that's a great question, Colleen. This says if there is no two double dots, it's assuming that your first number is minutes and the other is seconds, right? So if I said 1 like this, then it would say like 1 hour, 22 minutes, and 26 seconds. But because I've only included one, is that a semicolon? Is this a semicolon? Or is it a colon? I'm not sure which one this is. Either way, it understands that it's minutes. But what I need is a duration, right? So I think I can get, if we go, what is the seconds from start? It's going to be a formula field. It's a colon. Okay, cool. And I just say equal start time. So if I'm not mistaken, this is the number of seconds. So if you make a formula that just equals the start time, it defaults to seconds. So let's check this out. 26 minutes and 26 seconds in seconds. 1,346, 1,336. So that's going to be one of the parameters in the API call. So it says, go to this clip, start at 1,346 seconds. And in the API, the next thing is length. So the length in seconds the clip should play for. So the length is the difference between the end time and the start time. So length, it's a formula field, which is seconds. So it's going to be end time minus start time. Boom. 84 seconds. Okay. So now we have, most of the kind of what we need. If I look at an API call. So let me kind of go into the structure. Right? So I have a timeline that has a soundtrack. We're not going to have a soundtrack. Those are included. I don't care about a background. Then I have tracks. So each track is the kind of video of what I want, right? So I have clips, and then I have an array of clips, if I'm not mistaken, Jeff. So I would need 2 clips. I would need one for my intro, which is going to be the first thing in our array. And we're going to kind of include this right here. So we're saying go here, go to 84 seconds, and that's where we're going to start, right? So I'll just clip this one, and then we're going to add the intro. Start is going to be go to the start time, the length, and then the rest is just going to be default stuff, right? So hopefully that makes sense. So I think we can now dynamically clip the stream. Cool. So let's go back. Let's do the same thing we did. We actually need to send that information to Zapier. Got it. Got it. So I would need 2 clips. And if I wanted to overlay things between those clips, I can add tracks, or a track could have multiple overlay. Sorry. A track is one layer. And so I could have multiple tracks going with multiple videos and text over. I think that's what you're saying. So we're going to say clip this stream. It's going to be a button field. So it's going to be clip the stream. And then similarly, we need a webhook URL. Got it. I always feel, I don't feel terrible. I say like, Jeff, you know this very well. And I feel like I'm always butchering a little bit your API by talking about it in such, without full knowledge. Cool. So let's set that up again. We're just going to do the same thing we just did, where we're going to, create a webhook. Let me call this send to YouTube live on stream. So I can send this to you guys after. And now let's go ahead and create send clip to send clip to Shotstack. Okay, we're going to do the webhook again, webhooks. Oops. I'm going to go quickly on this one. because I think we've just done it. Okay, let's go ahead and do this. Question mark record ID equal, and let's pass the record ID. Let's save that. And let's add a record ID. Can you guys hear me now? I was, you can understand me through my hands. I was, setting up a webhook. Hopefully you can hear me now. All right, my bad. Thank you for that. Appreciate that. Okay, so we want to find a record. Anyway, Patty, you've seen me do this hundreds of times. So one day you'll come on the stream and you're going to set up a webhook. And I want to go to Airtable. I want to find that record. Number 36. I'm sure you could do it, and I'm sure you'd be great at it. I want to find that clip. I want to search on the record ID. We're going to search from step 1. And it should find that clip. And what we're trying to find here is that start time and that end time. Right? So we have the name, we have the start time, we have the length. And this is what's going to allow us to clip that that piece, that little... Okay. So far, so good. Now is when we do the complicated stuff. So Jeff, this is where I may need your help. So we're going to run an API call. So we're going to do code by Zapier. And we are going to, oh no, it's not code. I think it's API. I think it's actually webhooks by Zapier. And then we're going to do a post call. Yeah, exactly. Right. As an action, a webhook, what they call is a post. Yeah, that makes sense. Okay. So URL we want to hit. So let's go into Shotstack v1 and then api.shotstack.com/version. We're going to go into v1. And then we need an XAPI key. So I want to send a JSON, if I'm not mistaken. No, I want the raw call. So I would rather have a raw input. So instead of post, let's do a custom request. That'll be a little more legible to everyone. Okay, yeah. So I want to run a post call to Shotstack v1. Like that. Right? I don't want data to pass through. Okay, and this is what I want to send. So the headers, right, I can send is my XAPI key. Now, I'm going to have to reveal it. And Jeff, I hope you'll help me reset it after this. I have API key, Shotstack. There we go. I think that's all I need, right? Appreciate that, Jeff. Thank you. Okay, and then what do I want to send as the JSON, right? This is what the API call has to say, right? This is the body of the API call. So I have this. Let's add content type just in case, right? So I'm saying a post call to Shotstack slash render. I'm missing the slash render. Mistake number 1. Slash render. There we go. And then the headers, I need content type just in case that's not sent through. This is the code part of low code. You thought this was a no code podcast, a stream. It's actually a low code. There we go. Okay. So what do we want to send as a body? Okay, there's a lot here. So what I actually did, what I think is easier, is kind of take, this is a response, right? Let's go into the schemas and kind of take a sample and then cut out or kind of change or add what I need, right? So this might seem a little difficult. I feel like that is the best way to do it, where I just take a sample API call, right? And then just edit or change what I need and looking at the defaults, right? So unless there's a simple one or simpler one than this one, we can start from this one. So let me look at schemas. And then, yeah, this makes sense. So I can just remove a lot of this default stuff and just keep what I need. So let's copy paste this. I'm actually going to copy paste it into VS Code. That way we can just kind of get a sense of where we are and we're not kind of coding in, right? So source, so we don't need a soundtrack. So we can actually remove this. Boom. We don't need a background. We don't need fonts. We can pretty much remove all of this. So far, hopefully, we're not breaking anything. Okay, then clips. So the source, I'm going to dynamically input once I get it to Zapier. So trim, I don't think I need a trim. I don't think I need volume. Crop doesn't seem important to me. Start and length, those are also going to be inputted dynamically, right? So I will change those once I get into Zapier. So it says trim needs to be my start. Oh, did I remove trim? Oh, sorry. Okay, so trim. Oh, I got it. So okay, got it. So trim is where we start that specific asset, right? Got it. And then the start is going to be the same. Okay, got it. So trim is good. I actually have got it. So we're always going to start it at 0 for now. Right. We're going to start it at 0. And then this one, we're also going to start at 0 because we're just kind of clipping that specific. So this one's going to be start time. Length is going to be dynamic. Got it. So start is going to be 0. So trim is what we're going to put in as the beginning, and then the length. We don't need the fit, the crop, position, center, all that can go. We don't need a transition for now. We don't need any effects. Okay, this feels right. So we're just clipping that specific. Oh, I can remove the crop as well. So there's like a lot of things you can do that I'm not using. I feel like I removed one too many there. There we go. So we're just going to remove this right here. Boom. All right. It's always great to have the founder in the chat. So I appreciate that. Okay. Output. Let's do standard definition. All the rest, FPA, scale to range. I don't think we need. What's range here? Let's actually look at what range is. Range. Nope. We're going to export the entire video. So we can remove that. We don't need a poster. We don't need a thumbnail, but you can actually do it dynamically, which is kind of cool, which is something I'm expect to kind of, this one right here. Yeah, let me remove that. Boom. Yeah, let's kill range, poster, thumbnail, all that has to go. Okay, this feels right. So we're simply saying, go to this URL, and we're going to input that dynamically as well. Trim starting this video at this time, start at 0 and trim it for this length. So all of that information we have. So I removed one like that. Does that look good? No, it does not. I'm missing one closing. This one closes that one. Let me undo some stuff until... Okay, I removed one too many. Oh no, this is like a real coding stream now where I try to figure out why I'm missing. Oh no, it was broken from the start. Okay, let's go back. So this becomes a stream where I just check my, where I check my stuff here. So this one's good. This one's good. This one's good. That one's fine. Okay, they all seem fine. So timeline, output, that one looks good. Is it this one? Okay, it was that one right there. So that looks good. I'm not sure why it's giving me a little bit of red, but let's see if that works. And then we have a callback, which we'll do in a bit, right? So let's actually set that up right away. We're actually going to send the callback to another webhook. So I'll do that in a bit. Let's actually, should I do it now? I don't think I want to do it now. Let me look. This is the one that works. So output looks good. Huh. No, there should be a comma here, actually. Okay, let me actually just take this one. I can just redo this one where I have two assets. All right, this is where I take a sip of water and we figure this out. All right. So let's go back into that test one and we'll redo what we did. Okay, this one looks good. But see, it's still giving me an error here as if I don't have like the right brackets from the get-go. So just a question of an ending bracket. Okay, let's try to figure it out. Otherwise, let's go into, I have it in, well, we can test this out actually. Let's test it out. Let me go back here. Oh no, I lost, okay, let me just redo it then. There we go. Okay, let's go run this in Zapier. And essentially what we want to do is trim here is going to be that start time. And then length is going to be end time or length. Let's see if this gives us an error. And then in the callback, let's actually not include a callback for now. Let's just see if this works and then we'll do it in a moment. Okay. And the actual asset, where is that asset? We should have a source that was removed for some reason. Boom. There we go. There should be a comma here. So I need to add a source. This is where I lose all the no coders here. So I'm essentially adding a source to say, this is what we want to trim. So here I can actually add the attachment, the video URL. Right here. Should be in step 2. Oh, because I haven't pulled it in, right? So I don't have in the find record in Airtable, in the record I pulled in, I don't have this, what I'm clipping. So first, I actually need to create a lookup. Oh man, we're getting into the weeds here. So we're going to go video URL. So actually, let's look up the video. And then we're going to take the video from video lookup. There we go. Right. Create that field. We now have the video. And we're going to go video URL. And this is going to be equal. So it's going to be a formula equal to video. Video lookup. Create that video. But you'll see an issue where it actually includes the title. Now there's an easy way to solve this with a little bit of regex. So I'm just going to go into here, which is recording URL, and copy paste that formula. And again, I'll share this base with y'all after. So where do I see recording URL? Should have it somewhere here. Choop, 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 choo. Oh, this will work. Okay. Here we go. So it's just a regec extract. And then, so I'm going to change this formula field type. And then here it's just going to be video lookup. There we go. Now I've got the video URL. That's what I want to put into Zapier. There we go. So let me rerun step 2. We're going to get here, folks. I believe. Retest that, find the record. We should have video URL now, right there, URL. Boom. And now we put it into source. From step 1. Oh, how do I add in? It's not letting me add. Oh, insert data. It's just at the bottom. Okay, cool. Insert. I want URL. Lookup URL. There we go. Okay, this is probably going to fail because I think I have not structured this JSON correctly, but let's give it a go. So let's test and review. Okay, JSON could not be parsed. That makes sense. So let's actually go here. And instead, I have this properly structured JSON, which has the information that we need. So I'm just going to actually copy paste this one that I've done previously. I appreciate your patience, Colleen. I appreciate everyone's patience. So here we have 2 assets, and I'll set that up in a moment. So let's remove this one asset right here. Like that. That looks good. And then this is we're going to enter dynamically. This as well. And this as well. Right? And here we're going to do that after. Okay, so essentially what we're going to say is create a track with the following clip, which goes to the asset we're going to embed start or include start at 0 and go for this length. So I'm just going to copy paste this. Sure, no one wants to see me debugging that for 30 minutes. So source here is going to be URL. And then trim is the start time. And then length is how long we wait. Length. There we go. Boom. Yeah, so let me just remove the callback. Boom. Okay, so we're saying start at this time, go for this time, output, and let's go standard definition so it's a little faster. Okay. Now what this should return is a video ID. Let's continue. Let's test this out. I'm fingers crossed. I'm bullish on it. Oh no. Okay. Let's try that again. Let's see what could be wrong. One thing that might be wrong is that there might be double quotes here. So let me remove those. Let's try that again. Again. Okay. This is JSON. Let me check JSON tester. Oh, I think I know what the issue might be. Let's just put in some values. It does say valid JSON, but I wonder if it's because we created a one element array. Oh, trailing comma. Right here. This is it. Damn, Jeff, you got a good eye. We would have been here for days. Okay. Nice eye. I appreciate that. There we go, right here. Boom, let's try that again. Again. Let me copy paste this stuff. Oh, now I remove those double quotes. That must be it. Boom. Right here. Let's try that. Otherwise, this looks good. Yes. We're not done, but I'm going to do confetti now just because that was a pretty stressful moment. I'm going to... Whew. Yes, totally a confetti moment. But it's not done. Right? We're getting there. Okay, cool. So let's now kind of figure out, okay, we have this ID, right? So Shotstack is not like a regular API, not a regular API, but like APIs we've used in the past where it just kind of gives you an answer right away. You actually have to wait for, to do all its work. So what it sends you is this little ID that you can query to say like, oh, what is the status of, what we're trying to render, right? So what I'm going to do here is I'm actually going to go ahead and ping and see where it's at with the rendering. So if you go to endpoints, get render status, right? So what I can do is I can go into a URL. So I can do a get call with an API key to see where it's at. So let's go ahead and paste that. And let's get the whole URL. Now, Jeff, I don't know if this is going to work from a browser, but I can do it from I can do it from Postman if we want, right? So I can get that ID. I can do API key, and then version is going to be v1, right? And then API key, let me get my API key. So this is essentially saying go to Shotstack and get the status of this particular video. Oops. Missing an H there. Oh, it did not work because I guess my X API key. I don't know if we're going to be able to authenticate. No, we're not going to be able to. Or like that. No, let's just do it through Postman. Give me a second here to open Postman. Choo 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 choo. I like the way you think, Colleen. It is not a stream if we're not debugging. And then I have a Shotstack here. Okay. Let's go here, and then we're saying X API key is this right here. X API key like that. And let's send that value. Still getting forbidden. Let me check what's going on. So this is not, oh, okay, right. Let's remove this. No, that's actually the call that it's rendering. So it's giving me forbidden for some reason. I'm not sure why. Let me check. This should work. Get call, version. Oh my God. Really making some very basic mistakes today. It's been a little while since I've streamed by myself. I usually get guided here. Okay, so it's worked. All right, nice. So we can actually go to the URL. Let me actually just open up that URL and see our clip. Right, so it's very small, but it actually works. Right, so we've just actually, without going into an editor, created a clip. Now, this kind of solves that first part of what we wanted to do. And I'm going to try to speed up here to do the second part, which is we wanted to do a quick intro, right? And then we wanted this, and we want this all to be in Airtable, right? So let's do that first part. Let's just send it back to Airtable after it's done, right? Which we're going to do via webhook. And then if we have time, I do want to end this at an hour and a half to not kind of lose all of you, is add a clip at the beginning. But I will send a zap with the whole thing done. So if you ever want to kind of expand on this, you can. So this worked, right? And what you see in the API call is that there's this callback functionality, which you can say callback. Let me go back here into VS Code. There's a callback here, which says when you're done, send the information to this callback to say that you're done, including the URL. So what we need to do is go callback and set up a webhook. So how we're going to do that, we're going to go ahead and go back to Zapier, create a webhook that receives the clipping. So receive clip from Shotstack. Right. So I'm going to go ahead and have a webhook. I just want the URL for now. Catch hook. I'm going to copy that and just go here. Whoops, didn't copy it. So I'm just saying, go to this callback once you're done with the information around the video you've just clipped. Okay, let's run that again. So we're going to be doing that video again, but this time it's actually going to create the callback. While that's doing, I'm just going to update Airtable with this ID. So I'm going to go Airtable. Update record. And then Airtable. Boom, boom, boom. Done this a million times. AATT number 36. Go into clips. Go to the record from the webhook. And I need a video ID. Single line text. This is going to tell, like, this is the video ID that's currently rendering, right? So I actually need to refresh this video ID and take the ID as a response from. So continue, let's update that. Let me actually copy paste this video ID so I can get a sense of when it's done. Test and continue. So now we should have a video ID. It's right there, right? So this completes our clipping mechanism. We do a start time and end time. We send it to Shotstack. The only thing that we're missing is how do we like send it back to Airtable, right? So I want my clip to be right here. I want a clip. It's an attachment field. I want it to go directly into Airtable. I want it to live here. So I have the video ID. So now there's a webhook that's like waiting for Shotstack to say, hey, we're done. Here's the URL, right? So let me turn this on. So here, let's see if this worked. So I'm going into here. I'm just going to change the ID for the last one we just did. Okay, it worked. So that means that there should be a webhook that was sent. So I should, if I go into tests, right, boom, and I have the URL. Okay, we're almost there. This is so exciting, right? We have the ID and we have the URL. So now we can find the record and input. So we're going to update a record, or we're going to find a record first. So we're going to find a record. We're going to find which clip we're creating. My God, I've done this like a million times today. 36, content management. Go into clips. Search by that record ID. No, search by the video ID. Video ID. And we're going to search from the video ID because we've inputted, so we know that this is for this specific record. Okay, continue. Test and review. We should find that record if all went well. We did. Right clip the stream. Boom, boom, boom. And then what we want is we want to update that record with the clip that Shotstack just created. Update record. We're so close, folks. We're so close. We're going to go to 36. Boom. Going to go into clips. The record is the one we found in step 2. And then I want to search record ID. There we go. And in the video, the clip, I want to put the URL from this is where that clip lives. Boom. And I think that's it, right? So now if we do continue and test, boom, it was sent to Airtable, right? So update record. So here we have the clip. Woo! All right, we're gonna undo it and then we'll redo it just to get a sense of how it works. But if I turn this on, now I have both of my zaps. So let me just recap what's going on. I'm gonna delete this clip, right? So we're saying, okay, when I click this button, I'm gonna remove the clip ID. going to go ahead and take this video, go to this start time, clip it for this length, send us a video ID to say, hey, this is happening. And then when it's done, it's going to actually put the clip in this field right here. So it might take a few minutes. So I just want to go ahead and clip the stream. I think this should work. Okay, that worked. So now if we wait a second here, we have the video ID. So if I copy paste this and I come here and I say, okay, like what is the status of this video ID? Right? Oh, it worked. Man, you guys got fast. Okay. And then it's sending a webhook. And if all worked properly, did I have the right one here? I think I did. It should send a URL to here right now. What we could go do, let me make sure I had the right call and I updated it. That should work. Let's go here. I had this one on as well. And let's see Zap history. See, it's playing. It's currently playing. Oh, it says it was rendering. Oh, okay. Let's see where it is now. Done. Okay. So now this one is playing. Boom. We did it. It wasn't easy. No one said it was going to be easy, but we did it. So now if we go to this clip, we can see that it's 1 minute, 24 seconds. It starts exactly where we have that webhook. And yeah, we did it. So now we're clipping streams from Airtable. So literally like how I do this and kind of give you a sense of what I do is I actually clip, all from Airtable from here. Right. So I send to YouTube and then I have my clips, which I kind of just clip. And the difference between what we've built and what I do is that I include this little 2-second intro at the beginning, right? We won't have time to go into it. We're an hour and a half in, but again, like let's do success. I think we need some boom. I think what's really cool about this is that, it's such a neat way that you set it up once and you can create and reuse your content how many ever times you want. So this stream was kind of a way to show you the whole built out thing. I'm thinking about creating like not a course, maybe a series on like how to piece by piece, how to structure your base, how to send to YouTube, how to call APIs. Unfortunately, I do not think we're going to have time to do the other things that we wanted to, because I thought I overestimated my skills with the API, thumbnail management, and scheduling and social. So maybe that'll be like another stream. I don't know if there's interest there, but maybe I'll just include it in the course where I show how to do thumbnails, how to do scheduling and social and all that good stuff. But I really appreciate y'all sticking with me. And I'm so glad that we built it. Yeah, it's, Jeff, I remember when I first kind of built it in Airtable, it blew my mind, right? So literally now all you have to do is associate, right, a clip to a video, set a start time, set an end time, and just clip the stream, and you wait and your stream is going to be clipped. If you do build this, feel free to reach out to Jeff from Shotstack. It's been super helpful. If this video gets very popular, maybe don't reach out all to Jeff, but do check out Shotstack. It's shotstackapi.io or shotstack.io. Shotstack.io. Cool. Well, I appreciate y'all sticking with me. And as always, appreciate y'all coming. Next week, we're going to do what's new in Airtable, where I'm going to kind of show off the new automations, the new apps. I haven't done a solo stream in a while, so we're going to do 2 in a row and just really dig into some of the new features at Airtable that I haven't had time to show off on the stream. And I hope to see you there. Huge thanks, Jeff. Thanks, Penny. Thanks, Colleen, for coming. And everyone who stayed till the end or who joined. Really appreciate y'all coming out. And I'll see you same time next week. All right. Have a good one, y'all.